Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nations in Treaty 3 territory. I'm Marcel Larondo. I'll be chairing today. Doug Marks and Richard Whitbread are our panel members. Jason Robertson is our secretary, and Matthew Shields will be the assessor. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note that you are placed in the waiting room until the property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along with the City of Winnipeg's Board of Vision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has been concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Act. The matters for which revision have been requested have been described in each application, and we'll limit discussions to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the Board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have. Then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decisions by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 on our docket today. Mr. Robertson, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony.
Certainly, sir, there was a correction. It should be items 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, I was just reading. I'm sorry. It's item 2.
Yeah.
2, 4, 5?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Certainly.
That's what we're going to be hearing today.
Mr. Assessor.
Swear them in, please.
Please state your full name.
Matthew Shields.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Lyle Rock.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Matthew, can you start on, I got to get some different glasses. I grabbed the wrong glasses. I'll be right back. 1 second. I can't use my driving glasses. Go ahead.
So this is file number 22-415 for the roll year of 2023, address 120 Higgins Avenue, business assessment ID 22227. The total annual rental value for the property is $105,180, with a total premise square feet of 12,287. with an overall ARV per square foot of $8.56. Below that, you can see the breakdown of how that annual rental value is calculated. Underneath that is rent comparables, 4 rent comparables there which have an average reported rent per square foot of $10.59. I do have a recommendation to reduce the assessment to $8,010.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that number, please?
Yeah, 86,010. So 86010.
Okay. And Mr. Applicant, are you, Lyle, are you okay with that, or?
I'm just checking what I have here. Just give me 1 sec. Gonna reduce it to say the number again.
Yeah.
8010.
8010.
No, 86010. $86,010.
Just give me, if you could just give me 1 sec, please.
Yeah.
I do have it broken down like per square foot rate, if that's the math you're trying to figure out.
No, just give me 1 sec here.
Give us.
Can you share that with us, Matthew?
Matthew, can you give it to us, please?
Yeah, so it's total ARV per square foot would be $7. So it's reducing from $8.56 to $7 per square foot.
Okay.
I won't accept that.
You won't? Okay. Continue on then, Matthew.
Yep, and then the only other part of it is just the next sheet on the back is 2 pictures of the subject, front view and then a side view, which also shows around the back. And that's my presentation.
Lyle, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
No, I'm fine. I have none. Thanks.
Doug, do you have any questions?
None for me, thank you.
Is Doug not coming up online, or?
Doug is in person.
Oh,
I can't. Oh, there he is. Yeah.
okay. Doug Marks is in person. He's inside. Oh, he's on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
That's what,
Are you able to hear me?
how about Matthew? Is he coming online, or we don't have his? I don't have his on
Matthew is in person.
He's in person.
Yeah.
Other side of the table.
There's Matthew. Okay. Why am I not seeing Doug though? Well, I'm seeing Doug.
Are you hearing me?
Not Richard. You there?
I'm here. Yeah, you can see me.
There you are. Okay, now I got everybody. Okay, do you have Richard? Doug? Did you have any questions?
None for me, thank you.
Richard, any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I've got no questions. Lyle, if you can go along with your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you. So if you take a look at page 1, I have 2 pictures of the outside of the building. You can see where it's located. It's located right beside Disraeli Bridge in the underpass. On page 1, you'll see that basically the rent the assessment department is using is $6.06 plus the operating costs. 3,000 square feet of the building was built in 1912. Another 8,000 square feet of the building was built in 1941, so it's an extremely old building. Go to page 2. You'll see some pictures of the inside of the building. You'll see it's quite decrepit. The ceiling, they did finally fix the small few leaks in the, patched up the ceiling, but it was leaking. And you can see that in the middle there, that the ceiling's all cracked from the rain damage. And you can see that the planking from the ceiling. So it's in pretty well original condition. You'll see the next picture underneath is the planking floor, wood. The old tiles that are worn off, and some of them are missing. That whole wood area, all the tiles are missing off that. So it's the original rough sawed wood planking with some plywood. You go to the last part, the last picture. You'll see that that's the area the building was built in 1941. It's got heated gas furnaces that hang from the ceiling like a warehouse. You can see one right in the middle there. The posts are actual wood. If you go to page 3, you'll see the inside of the 1941 section. The first pictures are for the old section from 1912, and so on page 3. You'll see the inside. They've got just fluorescent lighting with no diffusers. Middle picture shows another gas heater hanging from the wall like a warehouse. It was originally like an old storefront warehouse. And you can see an aerial view. There's one little tiny little section. The 3 sections on your left are the 1912, 1941, and then there's a little tiny section in between there, that U-type thing there, which is unheated, and that was built 1,050 square feet in 1963, and that's just a loading dock. So if you go down to page 4, you'll see obviously the outside is in quite bad shape. The metal on the top has been rusting. The wood has been rotting. They finally last year did cover it all up with metal siding. But 21, that's what it looked like. And you'll see that there's a hotel next door. The Disraeli Bridge on the other side. So there's only one windows right in the front. So we don't have the best location. We don't have the best neighbor. So my comparables are from assessors in 2023 for realty. And you'll see the rates there go from a low of 367 up to 496, and then if you go down a little farther, Adelaide at 406. So I've included some pictures of the buildings. On the bottom page 5, you'll see the building at 4,840 square feet at 496 with parking in the front. Go to page 6. You'll see the 666 Ellis, 6,042 square feet at 390, and that has parking in the front. You can see the chain link in the front to your left. Nicer building, better location. Then you get the next one, number 3, is 945 Aaron Street. That's 19,377 square feet at 483. And then you get Coulter, 19,839 at $4.53. And you can see that's basically a very nice building compared to the subject. And then you get 590 Barrie, 64,840 square feet at 417. Those are all assessor comparables. So I got a chart here just underneath that, and it shows that the average is 430. Now, in addition to that, there's 323 Edwin, built in 1948, 24,000 square feet, and that rented out for $4. 92 Gomez, 1946, 5,500 square feet at $392. And those comparisons are basically a couple blocks, within 3 blocks. One's a block away and the other's about 3 blocks away. So go down right underneath that, you'll see 323 Edwin. An interior picture, that's a nicer building. That's rents for $4. You get another, below that, you get 975 Main Street at $365. That's another rent comparable that was one of the assessors used it for the actual realty appeal for the building. It's a much nicer building, better location, close to the subject. So realty and business assessment are tied together. So for 2023, the valuation I came up with was $409,000 at $4. And that's page 10. If you go to page 11, that is the decision for the realty of that building, and it went right to my numbers. So the board used $4. So I'm looking at $4 based on its condition and the comparables and the state of the building. I'm using $4, which is the same rate the board agreed upon for the realty, and applying the operating costs. I'm getting $75,600. That's my presentation.
Matthew, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Richard, do you have any questions?
Just when I did the math on Lyle's calculations, I came out with 79,865. Lyle, have I got that wrong? 12,287 feet at $4 is $49,148. Add the occupancy costs, and it seems to come out to 79,865, not 75,600. Have I made a mistake?
I'll add it up. It's interesting because it's done on a Excel spreadsheet, so it could be wrong. Let me just, if you give me
You bet.
just a check.
Just to let you know, Richard's never wrong.
Not on the map.
I imagine that's going to be the case. $15,973. You are correct. 79,865. That's strange because it's done, like I said, on an Excel spreadsheet. Okay.
I think somebody just put a decimal point in the wrong place on the 4,300. I tried that by mistake, and that worked out to your value, but it is 79,865 is the correct value.
That's correct. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Any other questions, Richard?
No, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Doug, any questions?
Oh, that was the same question I had. Thank you.
We'll conclude that matter. Anything in summation, gentlemen? Matthew?
No. The was rebuttal. Is the applicant presenting or?
Is he what? No, he's not accepting. He's
No.
going, he's
Yeah.
going for 79.55 and a $4 rent.
Okay.
He's going by the number that was given to him when they came to the conclusion, the property value. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one.
I have a rebuttal.
Oh, you do have a rebuttal. Okay. Rebuttal, go ahead.
Do you have it up? Screen?
We're working on it. Are all your rebuttals as one?
They're all in that one folder, Marcel.
At the very top, right?
Yeah.
Number 3. Okay. Go ahead. We got it.
Okay, so these are the assessor's comparables. So the first one is 325 Ellis, which is the liquor mart. So it's got a superior location, and the building is a lot nicer. And with the parking in the front, I don't think that's comparable. The next one is 930 Nairn Avenue. As you can see, that's a retail location furniture store at one time. It's got extremely large parking lot, better location on Regent Avenue, and I believe that's not comparable. The next one is 1574 Erin Street, and it appears to be a warehouse where you can drive trucks into. That's it's Winmar Fire Damage Restoration. I don't think that's comparable. It does have a large parking lot in the front. And then if we go down to the next one, 1905 Main Street is Piston Ring, and that is located a couple blocks from Kelowna Park, so it's in a lot better location than Higgins. You can see it's a superior building, and it's got a lot of parking out front, so I don't think that's a comparable either, and that's my rebuttal.
Matthew, do you have any questions on the rebuttal? Or anything on the rebuttal?
I guess my only question would be on evidence that you gave. You described the interior finishes specifically regarding the heating and air conditioning to be warehouse light on the ceiling as well as a loading dock. But then you say that comparable of 1574 Erin being a warehouse is not comparable. So I guess my question is that does the subject property then, in your opinion, have finishes that are consistent with, I guess, even in parts like a warehouse?
Well, 1574 Erin has an overhead door, and it appears to me that with the trucks could drive right inside the building. You can't drive inside the building on the subject property. Plus, it's got the fenced parking out front, and the subject has no parking.
Yeah, that was my only question.
Gentlemen, anything on the rebuttal?
I have nothing.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Thank you. And I've got nothing. Let's move on to the next item then. The next item will be on 54 Princess. Item number 4. Matthew, when you're ready.
Okay, so file number 22-4117 for the roll year of 2023, addressed 54 Princess, business assessment ID 25466. So the annual rental value is $49,920. Total area for the premise is 4,331 for an overall ARV per square foot of $11.53. Below that, you see the calculation on how that annual rental value is calculated. And below that, you'll see there is my rent comparables. The average rental rate per square foot on those comparables is $10.31. And that is my presentation.
Lyle, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Doug, do you have any questions?
None for me, thank you.
Richard, any questions?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, and I've got none. On with your presentation, please, Lyle.
Thank you. So page 1, you'll see the front of the building. You will see that there's a tree in the middle of the picture. If you look up to just at the very top right-hand corner of that tree, you'll see there's a little box there on the wall. That's the air conditioning. There's no central air in this building. It's just a unit that's been put through the wall. That's the air conditioning. So there is no central air in that building. The interiors, basically Pucked, I think, is a retail store. And actually, it's more like a warehouse. So if you go to page 2, you'll see you actually have to step down into the area from the street. The floor is concrete. This building was built actually in 1911. You'll go to the next picture, you'll see there's a forklift inside the store. That's because they actually, inside there, they rebuild electric motors, like large industrial electric motors. So the only way they can move them around is with a forklift. So there's actually a forklift inside the building there. There's a concrete ramp that goes outside so the forklift can drive out with a pallet with the electric motor to take it outside. So the next page, page 3, you'll see the assessor stated that they're basically, it's assessed at $9.02 for the rent. Below there are comparables. Those are assessor comparables. I'll go through those. Then you'll see at the bottom, page 4, there's 975 Main and 771 Main, which is the appeal, realty appeal for 120 Higgins. And then there's 2 additional Wall and Aaron that was 323 Edwin appeal. So you've seen these comparisons before. Number 1 and number 2 in Ellis, and the other one in Ellis. Number 5, the Aaron Street, and then number 4, the Adelaide Street at 405, 975 at 365 a square foot. And then you've got the Wall Street at 550 a square foot. That has on-site parking. It's far superior building. Again, these are assessor comparables. And then the comparable at the bottom there is 92 Higgins at $5, and that's a nicer building with parking. So based on the quality of the building, I'm actually, I think a $5 square foot rate is more appropriate. So I'd use $5 a square foot. No air conditioning to come out with a annual rental value of $30,970, and that's my presentation.
$30,970. Is that correct?
$30,970. I hope it's not wrong.
We'll find out as soon as Richard looks the numbers at it.
I would have seen that already, Marcel.
Richard, do you have any questions?
Just looking at, sorry, did you want to ask the assessor first?
Oh, yes, it would be a good idea. Matthew, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Richard?
I
Now
do.
it's your turn.
Just looking at the difference then on the occupancy costs, the assessor said 10,828. You said 9,312. That's a differential of about $1,516. You're suggesting, or you're stating, there is no air conditioning, whereas the assessor has charged for air conditioning. Am I correct in that assessment?
Yes, you're correct, because it doesn't have central air conditioning. That charge is for central air conditioning. It just has a window unit in the wall, so that's not accessible. All my years at the assessment department, we never assessed for an air conditioning unit in a wall. It has to be air. It has to be central air, so the whole entire building gets air conditioning.
Yeah.
So that's why I removed it.
Okay, that explains the discrepancy. Thank you. No further questions.
Questions? Doug?
No, none for me, thank you.
You're good? Okay, thank you. And I've got no questions. Lyle, on with you. You finished your presentation. You wanted to do your rebuttal on this one as well, Lyle?
Please.
Lyle?
Yes, sir.
Your rebuttal? I do
go
believe
through
you
it?
had some on this one.
Yes, I do have.
Yeah.
Give me a moment to
Let's
find
hear
it. Okay, so these are the assessor's comparables, and as you see, the subject property is coded as retail. which it is. So you'll see the first comparable for the subject property is 825 Sherbrooke Avenue, which is a 4-story office building. I believe that's not comparable. Subject's not an office building. If you go to the next page, you'll see 167 Lombard, room 930 on the 9th floor. This is across from the Richmond building. Obviously, it's going to have higher rents than the subject property located in Princess. It's an office building. It's got, I think it's got 6 elevators in it with a doorman across the Richmond building. That's not comparable. Get the next one at 395 Notre Dame. This property, again, was built, I think, in about 1912. 395 Notre Dame has a large parking lot. It's an office. It was built in 1975, and it appears to me, by looking at it, it was probably a bank building at some time. It's typical of that era of what a bank building standalone would look like. So you can see that's not comparable to subject with the parking and the quality of the building, and that's an office space. The next one is 177 Lombard, room 100. That's the main floor. That's across from the Richmond building, and I believe Bailey's was in there, so it's a restaurant. By the signs, I think it's Salisbury House is in there right now, and that's right opposite Richmond building, and obviously for location and quality of the building and being a restaurant, that's not comparable. The next one underneath, there's 136 Market. That's an office building, multiple stories. That's not comparable. That's behind the Pantages Theater. Better location, and it's an office building, so I'd say that's not comparable. And unfortunately, the last one, 258 McDermott, I forgot to put a picture of it. You can see a small little picture down there. That's Hillary Drucksmann Design. That's a jeweler. And I have actually been in that space, and it's a very nice space. High-end jewelry store. So I would say that by looking at those, none of those are comparable to the subject property. None of them could have a forklift inside. So that's my presentation for my rebuttal. Thank you.
Matthew, do you have anything?
I guess my only points would be certainly I can respect the opinion of the office buildings. My comparables I picked for things that would be close to the downtown area based on square footage. As far as the 177 Lombard, 136 Market, and 258 McDermott, they're all older buildings within walking distance of the subject. Similar square footage as the subject, and are all main floor tenants. So yes, to the point of you can't drive a forklift in them. They're similar age buildings, similar size, and all
Sorry to
main.
interrupt you, but do you have any questions for me? You can address that kind of information in your rebuttal if you don't mind. Or in your information.
That's what he's out loud. I don't think he's got any questions. He's going against your rebuttal right now. Continue, Matthew. Sorry.
No, that was my only.
Okay. Doug, do you have any questions? Or
Thank you.
Richard, do you have anything?
I have nothing, thank you.
And I have nothing. That'll conclude that matter, and we'll move on to item number 5, which will be 319 Portage Avenue.
Thank you very much. I'm out of here.
You're out of here already? Oh, you're finished? That was all of yours?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
See you, Lyle.
Bye-bye.
Can you swear in the next applicant then, Jason?
Mr. Applicant, state your full name. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you. You may be seated.
Matthew, 519 Portage, please, when you're ready.
Yep, thank you.
319, I mean.
The file number is 224062 for the roll year of 2023. Address 319 Portage Avenue. business assessment ID 24459. The annual rental value is 69,420. The total premise area of 4,234 square feet with a overall ARV per square foot of $16.40. Underneath that, you can see breakdown of how that annual rental value is calculated with the occupancy cost. And underneath that is my rent comparables. I would say the ones that I would mark as the closest in the area as the most comparable comps that I have here would be the 179A Bannatyne Avenue, 1110 Portage, 177 Lombard, Suite 100, and the 258 McDermott Avenue, Unit 1. Out of the total comps, the average rate per square foot is $15.23. Based on this, I have a recommendation to reduce the assessment to $61,943.
What was that again, sir?
61,940. Sorry, 45 for rounding purposes.
What was your rent you're using on that?
$14.63.
Richard, do you have any questions? And I'm sorry, Trevor, do you have any questions?
What was the net rental rate that was used in that?
Like
That's the ARD, I gather, right? The 1463.
Yeah.
So what would the net rental rate have been?
That'd be $12, like the base rent.
Yes.
Yeah, $12.13.
Okay. I have no questions about the rec. No.
You're not accepting it then?
No.
Okay. Richard,
I have no questions. No questions. Thank you.
Doug, questions?
No, thank you.
And then on to you, Trevor, with your presentation.
Okay, I do have just a couple of quick questions on other parts of the presentation, I guess. The subject property, I guess, just to start, all three properties, given workload, you probably haven't had a chance to inspect them, I imagine?
No.
Okay.
No, I have not been inside of them.
And the subject property is a commercial or rather a retail property, and is assessed as such for realty, and is correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And many of the comps that we're looking at here are office comparables, are they not, on your comparable list?
Yes.
Okay. Those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On with your presentation then, please.
Okay, thank you. So 319 Portage Avenue, you can see on the cover page of my brief what the property is. It is where Eau Calcutta is located on the north side of Portage Avenue. This property was heard at, or rather, it wasn't actually heard at 2023 realty appeal. It was appealed, and we were in agreement with the city of Winnipeg for realty based on an $11 square foot net rental rate for the subject property. I've included that in the addenda materials starting on A-3 through A-5, I guess. That includes my cover page of my document, and then the valuation portion of that property as well. So that is background for you. Again, that was an agreement between the city assessor and myself regarding realty for the same time frame. So just to skip forward, subject property is built in 1906. We are looking at a leasable area for business purposes of 4,234 square feet. That is the occupied portion of the property. Photos begin on page number 4. You can see the exterior and the interior. As you can see, it hasn't been updated since the 80s. We have drop T-bar acoustic tile ceiling. You can see the flooring there, etc. It's a long, straight bowling alley, essentially, that hasn't been updated since that time and is very indicative of demand and condition on North Portage. Further, page number 7 gives you a bit more to this. Again, built in 1906. It's a masonry construction frame, has a basement, which is not occupiable. And you can see the description of the interior on that page number 7. It would be considered in below average condition. The site and the location are shown on page number 8. So we are to the west of Donald Street on the north side of Portage Avenue. And again, that location shown on page number 9. Moving on to the valuation itself, page 11. It is owner occupied, and they do have leases in place, but they're non-arm's length. I've provided them here simply for background. I don't place any reliance on these, and these are gross rental rates that we're showing here. So gross rental rate that they're paying themselves is $5.71 a square foot. I don't rely on that, but it is there for background. Let's look at the market and what an appropriate net rental rate would be for the subject. I've given you 8 different comparables, along with a photo and a map of their actual location. And we arrive ultimately at a net rental rate of $11 a square foot. You can see that the rates that we have here range between a low of $6 a square foot at 261 Vaughan, number 5, up to a high end of $12 a square foot at 415 Graham. My comparable number 2. So let's just quickly run through these. 401 Graham. You can see the property that we're looking at there, built in 1947, $9 a square foot rental rate starting in 2014. It's a bakery / retail bakery outlet. Quite close to the comparable, 1 block south, obviously not on Portage. Then we have 415 Graham, $12 rent from a 2018 start date, 1951 building. Very similar location to the previous one. Again, downtown, 163 Gary, $7.31 per square foot. That property is shown on page 15 and the location of it. Rents in that building there's very low demand there, as there is very low demand on North Portage. Number 90 Gary, not my top comparable certainly, but one that does have some relevance. It is main floor space, $10 a square foot for a building built in 1986. Moving on, one of our better comparables, number 4, 428 Portage Avenue. This is on the south side of Portage and is located essentially adjacent to the Hudson's Bay building on that Portage street front. We have a 1928 building there. The office building is actually in quite good shape. And that particular comp for a 5-year lease in 2016 was generating $6 per square foot. Certainly a superior location to the subject property on the north side of Portage Avenue. Moving on to 61B Vaughan, $6 a square foot. In a 2015 lease for a 1946 building. The you can see the remainder of the comparables there. I did provide a few from outside of downtown, those being 6, 7, and 8, just for additional comparative purposes. If you look at 1875 Pembina, it is 2017 lease for 5 years at $11 a square foot. This is a medical center in a retail strip mall just north of Bishop Grandin. Good location. We have number 2 Donald on the way home from downtown. Street front retail there in a strip mall, $11 per square foot in a 2015 lease. Again, older building, but not close to the age of the subject, 1958. And then 470 River was the oldest property I could find in close proximity to the downtown that was retail and in a reasonably good location. This is just adjacent to Rip and Osborne by the Safeway Liquor Mart. And they are generating 1116 there as of a 2018 lease. So you can see that the high end of the range of $11 a square foot is essentially an optimistic number. If we look at North Portage and you take a walk up and down there, very clearly there are challenges with leasing street front retail on Portage Avenue in that section of downtown, both on the south side and the north side. So we have used a rent rate of $11 per square foot. Flipping forward, the expenses are shown on page 22. We haven't made any adjustments to those. And our final ARV is shown on page 23, $57,160 based on that $11 per square foot net rental rate. The addenda materials, again, include the agreements and just some additional material that I won't address, but we'll answer questions if you have any on it. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Matthew?
I don't have any questions, no.
Doug, do you have any questions?
Yes, just one. What is the basement use in that particular building?
Not very much. They have some moisture issues down there. And it's essentially a rubble foundation, and sections of it were dirt floor when I was in there. So they can't even really do a lot of storage down there.
So no real storage in that area at all then?
Not really.
Okay, thank you very much. No
The
further questions.
merchandise would not, it would sustain damage.
Okay.
Doug, questions?
Thank you.
That will.
I don't have any either, Marcel.
I thought I asked Jody Richard. Did I slip up again?
That's
Why
okay.
didn't put a check mark?
That's all.
Thank you, Rich. That'll conclude that matter, and we'll be. Say it again.
There is rebuttal that has been filed for this.
Okay, let's go back to the rebuttal. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right.
Who's filed the rebuttal? Yourself, Trevor?
Yes, I have. I will be quick.
Yep. As soon as I get there. Okay, go ahead, Trevor, when you're ready.
Okay, great. Thank you. So essentially what I'm addressing in rebuttal here is just the comparability of the comps that have been presented by the city. So I've got their list in front of me here. I didn't address each and every one here, but I'll just run through them quickly. 23 Bannatyne is a well-located heritage office building in the East Exchange, just off of Waterfront. And those are, so that's the first and second comparable there. We're looking at office tenancies, not on the main floor. The third one, 179 Bannatyne, that's the Ashdown warehouse. Again, very similar to 123 Bannatyne in terms of condition and build out. Not really the same thing as street front retail for North Portage. Then we can get into the document itself. My page number 2, 444 St. Mary Avenue. You can see what we're looking at there. Class B office building, second floor tenancy. Skipping forward, 960 Portage Avenue. Again, this is an office building, and that is a second floor tenancy. It's outside of the downtown, but is strictly office. Bumping forward, we have 1110 Portage Avenue. This is street front retail, but you can clearly see the difference in quality and tenancy between that and the subject property. Moving on, 305 Broadway, again, Class B office building, third floor tenancy on page number 5. Page number 6, 177 Lombard. I believe this is the Salisbury House location on the main floor of that Heritage Office Tower adjacent to the Richardson Building. And 393 Portage Avenue is the Portage Place Shopping Center. So I'm not sure what tenant that is, but again, not comparable to the subject property. And finally, I believe the last one was already mentioned by Mr. Slack there. That's Drucksmann Design Jewelry, significantly different than the subject property. And that is my rebuttal. Thank you.
Matthew, anything on the are you going to on his rebuttal?
I guess, am I allowed to speak in defense of the comps?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I would just say that the recommendation of value that I gave was based on the 4 comps that I thought were the most comparable based on size and location, which were the 4 that were main floor tenants of the downtown businesses, or I guess the 111 Portage is not downtown, but same street, just a bit further down, which is the 179A Bannatyne, 1110 Portage, 177 Lombard, Unit 100, which is, as stated, the Salisbury House, which is main floor, and then the 258 McDermott, which again is, yes, a few of these are in office buildings, but all main floor tenants. That's all I had.
Okay. Richard, anything? Richard?
Sorry, Marcel, I was muted. I have nothing, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Doug, anything?
For me, thank you.
And I've got nothing. So that will conclude that matter, gentlemen. We'll go to item number 6, 227 Henderson Highway. When you are ready, Matthew.
Okay, so this is file number 22-4063 for the roll year of 2023, address 227 Henderson Highway, business assessment ID 20884. The annual rental value is 15850, so 158,580. Total premise square feet is 13,526 for an overall ARV per square foot of $11.72. So below that on the breakdown, that is what was generated before the realty deal happened. So I do have the updated numbers for the figure because the 158,580 is the actual value that's under appeal. So the premise ID 14699, the base ARV per square foot rate that was applied was $2 per square foot. which worked out after the occupancy costs for the annual rental value on that premise of $17,762. And then for the premise ID 14702, the base ARV per square foot that was used would be $14, which after the occupancy costs would work out to an annual rental of $140,844, which after rounding would be the above mentioned $158,580. Which this was, that value was based on the verbal recommendation presented by the assessment department at their realty appeal. And then just on the after that is a picture of the front of the building and then the side with the parking lot. And that is my presentation.
Trevor, questions?
I have no questions.
Are you okay with the recommendation of 158,580?
No, I'm
I'll just say it's technically not a recommendation. It was the appealed value, but just was clarifying for the purposes of the breakdown of ARV on here. It was based on the original assessment before the realty appeal, and the appealed value is that value for the business assessment. That's just what I was clarifying to give the numbers for the.
You weren't making a rec of that then.
No, it wasn't a rec. I was just wanted to provide the actual numbers for that value that was being appealed as they were incorrect on that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Richard, questions?
I'll leave it until we get to the applicant. Thank you.
Okay, Doug, anything?
Just one, there's no air conditioning in the building?
That space, it's not applied to the 4,900 square feet, which I believe is a mezzanine space.
Okay,
So I believe that's the second floor kind of area of the building.
but there is air conditioning in the rest of the.
Yes, the model driven occupancy costs, yes.
And have you inspected this building at all?
I have not been in it for the purposes of this hearing, but I have been in the building before, but not for the purposes of this.
Getting your money.
Yes.
No further questions. Thank you.
I think. Hey, Doug, you already finished, right?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Sorry.
Lyle, if you can make your presentation then. Not Lyle. Trevor.
There we go. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I've never.
No worries. So today we're dealing with 227 Henderson Highway. This property was appealed, as the assessor indicated, was appealed for realty, and recommendation was made by the city assessor based on those numbers that he provided here today. And that was accepted by the board. We did not accept that recommendation, and the property is under appeal at the municipal board. Looking at subject property, we're looking at, again, 227 Henderson Highway. This is located essentially just before the second set of lights on Henderson Highway as you head over the Disraeli Highway from downtown on the east side of Henderson. The photo on the cover page of my document gives you a sense of it from the roadway. It was actually two buildings to start with, and the owner of the property purchased the adjacent property and expanded their business into that. So this is described on my page number 3, so we can skip forward to that. Looking at my chart at the top of the page, you can see the 2020 business assessment was reduced by 15-1 agreement to the amount stated there. Property is zone C2, and the age of our two properties, date of construction 1920 and 1929. Now, obviously, they've changed since that time, but that is their original date of construction. And you'll note that I have leasable area of 8,536 square feet. Now, the subject property combining both buildings, the main floor space is 8,536 square feet. And the additional square feet is basement space. Here, the city has it listed as, for business purposes, 4,990 square feet. Slightly larger than that, but certainly sections of it are not usable space as such. Now, the buildings are a mix of wood frame and concrete construction rather, with a wood deck roof. Interior space of the buildings, well, was originally 3 buildings, pardon me, has been combined into one open retail space. You can see from the photos how that's been done. So it's a main floor open retail floor space. There's a bicycle repair shop area in the rear, a small office, and a staff room. The flooring, etc., is all detailed there for you. The basement is a basement. It's utilized for storage for the main floor operation. Has one small bathroom, and they do have a very small section of that in which they do construct or put together some of the bicycles. Most of that's done on the main floor, but historically they had to do it in the basement before they acquired the new building. Now, this does not make it leasable area. I cannot be clearer on this. I've probably presented this on a number of buildings before the Board of Revision. I don't know, 20 times, I'm going to say. In the Winnipeg market, property managers, commercial retail agents, tenants, owners, basement space is not nearly always is not considered to be leasable area. It would have to be a very particular circumstance for a basement space to be considered part of the actual leasable area that a tenant would be willing to pay rent on. One of these days, today not being that day, I am going to bring a separate expert other than myself to testify before the board so that you can hear this other than from myself. Where that concept is supported by a different member of the commercial real estate world here. But suffice it to say, basement space is not considered leasable space. If it were to be leasable space, you would need to have the proper exits available for that, accesses to it, etc. The subject property does not have that build out, so you would not get an occupancy permit for the basement space as a separate unit from the city of Winnipeg because it would not meet their standards. So the actual basement space should not have a lease rate applied to it. Now, in the Board of Revision decision, the Board of Revision did not agree with that, and they applied the rental rates as shown by the city, $2 and $14 a square foot, to the main and the basement space in their decision. We, of course, have appealed that to the municipal board and intend to take this further and bring forward different experts to defend that clear statement of what is done in the Winnipeg marketplace. This is all outlined on my page number 3. Building is considered essentially to be in average to, good condition. You can see this from the photos, but it is of its vintage, 1920 and 1929. As far as the structure goes, page number 4, you can see the new frontage of the building. Bottom of page 4, you can see the former frontage. So they purchased the Powell's supermarket building and converted it to their own use. Couple of other exteriors on page 5. One of the rear of the building, or portion of the rear of the building. Then we move inside to the main floor. You can see the rear construction area, bike building area at the bottom, and repair area at the bottom of page 6. The main floor retail on page number 7 with the wood roof, and the office area on page number 8. Then we get into the basement. So here's your access point, and you can see what the basement is. Basically, it is storage for bikes that have either been built and they don't have floor space for, or bikes that remain to be built. So that is what the basement is. Moving on, the site is shown on page 11 and the location on page 12. It's located in the Elmwood area on the east side of Henderson, right at the juncture of Johnson Avenue. If you look at this stretch of Henderson Highway, you're looking at an older, smaller scale retail and commercial properties in this particular area of varying size and quality. General absence of neighborhood strip malls or larger retail commercial development in that area. East and west of Henderson, you have older residential area with properties dominantly built in the 1900 to 1920s time frame, and small scale multi-residential in the area. Let's skip forward to the actual valuation. Page number 14. Subject property is fully owner occupied. We have a leasable area again of 8,536 square feet. And obviously there is no arm's length lease in place, so we have nothing to refer to in that regard. So we presented the best comparable evidence in our chart with regard to retail properties that would have the most comparability to the subject. Now, what I will point out is there utility to that basement? Yes, there is utility to the basement. They have boxes down there of unbuilt bikes. They have bikes that were built and are in storage down there, etc. And they do a very small amount of bike construction down there, but again, it is not leasable space. It does have utility, and the way that this is dealt with in the commercial market is that if the owner and their agent, as well as the tenant, agree that there is some value to that basement space, the main floor rental rate will reflect that additional utility, in that there will be a slightly higher rental rate for the main floor actual leasable area. And that is what I've done in my valuation for the subject property here. So if we look at my comparables here, we have a range of a low of $8.50 a square foot, $9 and $10, running up to a high of $15 per square foot. What I've tried to do is show properties that are of a similar size, all of a retail nature, and with varying comparability with regard to age and location, which helps us frame the appropriate value for the subject property. So let's look at the comparables. Number 2 Donald. This is on the southbound side of Donald Street on the way home. It is a retail strip mall with parking out front, formerly an industrial You can see the location of that. Strong location. They're renting for $11 a square foot there for a building built in 1958 and 1993. Certainly smaller than the subject at 2,470 square feet. Moving on. Again, keep in mind we're looking at retail property here of a significant size, because the subject size of 8,500 square feet is is a significantly sized retail property, certainly as a standalone, much larger than many retail tenants out there. So our second comparable is 1290 Keniston, shown on page number 16. This was formerly an industrial building. It was purchased with the full express intent of redeveloping it into a commercial property, which was done in 2015, 2016. And you can see the renovation was done in 2015. This was leased out to Lux Barbecue, retail tenancy, in 2016 for a rate of $14 per square foot. Now, this property is located to the north of the McGillivray-Keniston interchange, where you have the major power center with all of the retailers there. So very strong location in close proximity to Tuxedo, River Heights, all of the surrounding high income areas. Moving on, 1399 McPhillips on my page number 17. This is a dollar store 2017 lease at $15 per square foot. Just under 13,000 square feet, very traditional retail center, as you can see, with good national tenancies. Very strong rent there at $15 per square foot. The city lowered their number to $14 per square foot in the property appeal for the subject property. You can see that I really don't believe that that is appropriate. $15 per square foot for that property versus $14 being applied to the subject. Really not in line with what the market would pay for it. Moving on, 1269 Jefferson. Again, we are looking at another dollar store, $11 per square foot there for a 2018 lease. Again, this is fairly traditional retail of a significant size. Number 4, 1875 Pembina, 2018 lease for $10 per square foot. This is located just north of the Pembina and Bishop Grandin interchange. It was leased to a brew pub at $10 a square foot on a long-term basis. Good location, certainly, in comparison to the subject. Number 5, 1529 Gateway, $9.50 a square foot on a 5-year lease for 2017 start date, being built in 1979. That, again, is a retail strip mall in a residential area, East Kildonan there. Moving on from that, we have North Main, 1970 Main Street, $8.50 a square foot for 5,500 square feet. You can see the street front nature of that property there in comparison to the subject, close to Kildonan Park there. Then we have 1575 Regent. Again, traditional retail mall, as you can see. $12 a square foot rental rate for property built in the 2000. In 2000, that is located just to the of Regent Avenue and Lajmoje Boulevard, so a very strong retail location. They're achieving $12 per square foot for that particular property. 1071 Autumnwood, again, relatively standard neighborhood shopping center, $13 a square foot for 4,400 square feet. And finally, 1111 Logan, again, another shopping center, not as strong a location as some of the others, but with other supportive retail, and they are achieving $9 a square foot there for a 5-year lease starting in 2018. So what we're looking at essentially is a standalone property in the Elmwood area versus properties that are dominantly in superior areas in a multi-tenant situation in retail malls. So our range here runs from a low of $8.50 a square foot for North Main up to a high of $15 per square foot for the dollar store in the major shopping center on McPhillips there. I would point out 1529 Gateway being of a similar size, also in the east side of Winnipeg in a residential area, superior residential, and they're achieving $9.50 a square foot there for a 2017 lease of a similar size at $78.50 per square foot. Now, subject property was built in 1920 and 1929. Obviously, it's been updated since that time, but that is the structure that we're dealing with. It is in the Elmwood area. It is standalone. It has none of those other tenants to support stronger rental rates and greater demand. To account the additional utility of the basement, we've applied a rental rate of $13 per square foot to the main floor space, which is the leasable area. And we can skip forward to the summary of this skip forward to the expenses rather on page 25. I have gone through the expenses here. We have applied heat to the area that's heated, as has the city. Hydro is there for the whole property, obviously. Water just for the main floor, and air conditioning just for the main floor. So summarizing the final ARV on page 26, we use the $13 a square foot rent for the main floor area. Adding in the expenses, we come to a final ARV of $140,090. And the addenda materials simply include the income and expense and other information that you're free to read if you wish. Thank you.
Marcel, you're muted. Sorry, I did that by accident. Try, there you go.
Did you push the button or I did?
I pushed the button to try and tell you to unmute, but you did it at the same time, so it remuted you. My apologies.
Where was I? Oh, Matthew, questions.
I don't have any questions though.
Okay. Doug, any questions?
Just one, looking at the operating costs, you've gone with the same costs as city owner's property?
I have, yes.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Richard, any questions?
No, I'm fine. Thank you, Marcel.
Do you have rebuttal information on this property as well?
I do, yes.
You want to go ahead with it then?
Certainly, if everybody's there.
Yep.
We're always there.
Always there. Okay, great. So again, just to look at the comparability of the comparables that the city has provided. Again, we have a street front retail property here on Henderson Highway. And I've run through the comps here just to indicate their comparability to the subject. So the first one is 131 Provencher. This is an office building located at the corner of Taché and Provencher, 3-story Has an elevator, has underground parking. The tenant that's indicated is a third floor office tenant. So again, really no comparability to the subject. Second comp, 1500 Regent, conventional strip mall on Regent, driving a rate of, well, they're getting $10 per square foot there. Actually, that's similar to the subject. It's right on Regent Avenue. Moving on, 222 Provencher, again an office building on Provencher in St. Boniface with a short-term government lease at 1337. This is, I believe, Child and Family Services that was in there for a year. And then we're looking at the last one, 1421B Henderson. This is conventional strip mall, and I grant you, I've used a number of conventional strip malls, obviously, as that's where most of the comparables you'll find are. It's the comparability of the ones that are selected in relation to the subject property. So this property is tenanted with, as you can see, quite a number of national tenants. They're not all visible there, but we have Dollarama, Quiznos, Century 21, etc. It's a block south of Chief Peguis Trail, where there's a major grocery anchored shopping center, nearby retail being Safeway, Boston Pizza, CIBC, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, etc., etc. So, and their rent there is $12.39 per square foot. So again, what I'm indicating is that in some of them just aren't comparable, and that they're office buildings, and the subject property, given its location, age of structure, surrounding tenancies, etc., would drive a lower rental rate. That is my rebuttal. Thank you.
Matthew, did you want to speak to his rebuttal?
I would just say I definitely acknowledge the fact there's the 131 Provencher is third floor of an office, and it is more so included for the fact that it is of a similar size and not too long of a drive from the subject, and we're still applying a rate that's well below that, including all of the other comparables, as stated by Mr. Smith about how there's just the area that this property is in for that size is just tough to find comparables that are close by of a similar size.
Mr. Chairperson, we're getting some feedback on your end, so I temporarily had to mute you here.
Okay, I don't know if there's no noise over here, but Doug, do you have anything?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Richard?
I have nothing, thank you.
And you're all done. We'll move on to item 7, that's 433 St. Mary's Road. Does anybody need to take a break, or you want to keep moving?
Did we finish this one and take a break after this?
After okay, we'll finish this one. Okay.
This is our last one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I had one more point on the previous property. It was just,
go ahead, Matthew.
I wanted to thank Mr. Smith. He pointed out that when I was originally asked I had said mezzanine space, and he corrected that it was basement. That was just, I wrote mezzanine next. That was my error in what I labeled it as. We have it as basement. That was just, I misspoke. So I just wanted to thank him for correcting that it was basement space. That was it.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to item 7 now, Matthew. 433 St. Mary's Road. When you're ready.
Yep. Okay, so this file number is 22-4064 for the roll year of 2023. Address 433 St. Mary's Road. Business ID 5922. Total annual rental value of $144,360. Area of all premises 9,637 for an overall ARV per square foot of $14.98. Below that is a breakdown of how that ARV is calculated over the two premises. And below that is the rent comparables that I've used. Again, I would say similar to the previous property, there's not a whole lot of comparables in this area of this size. But of those, these are the three that I felt were at least comparable size that were close. And the average of those reported rents is $14.73 per square foot. And then after that, you can see there's just a picture of the front and of the building. And that is my presentation.
Trevor, questions?
I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I keep getting muted. You must be getting a lot of feedback. Richard, questions?
No, I have none. Thank you.
Doug?
And none for me, thank you.
Thank you. Trevor, on with your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. All right. So subject property is 433 St. Mary's Road. This is coincidentally another bicycle retail store, owner occupied street front. This one being in the St. Patel area, actually more or less on the border of St. Boniface and St. Patel. The cover page of my document there gives you a view of the frontage of the property. And again, we're looking at the combination of a number of buildings into one building here. They did prior to the current owner's time frame, the property merged a number of different buildings into a single building. All of them older buildings that were merged into one for a quasi-industrial use at the time. And just by the current owner for his business of bicycle retail, obviously. Looking at my page number 3, bit of background on the property. Property was appealed for 2023 realty. It was reduced based on my valuation of the property. That decision is shown in the addenda materials on what's labeled A-12. And then you can see my, oh, sorry, that's the wrong page. I'm misleading you here. Page A-2 rather. And you can see my document following that on page A-4 for the realty appeal and the rental rate that was applied at that time of $11.50 per square foot. So the Board of Revision made their decision based on my valuation of the property, with the exception of the cap rate, and they used the rental rate of $11.50 per square foot. To my knowledge, this hasn't been appealed to the municipal board. And let's flip back to my page number 3. 2020 assessment similarly was appealed at the realty was appealed in 2020, and we reached a 15-1 agreement based on that for the business appeal in the 2020 timeframe. Subject property originally built in 1914. Again, there were a couple of buildings that were combined into it. They were all of that vintage. It's categorized as a CMRST, a store, same as the last one, I believe. And we have a total leasable area of 9,637 square feet. Now, some of that is second floor office area, but we have applied an overall rental rate to the entire property in our valuation, I believe here. Let's flip forward to some photos. This particular property, it is helpful to go through the photos to really get a sense of it. I'm not sure if any of you have been in here previously, but you enter, you go up a number of steps. You can then go up a number of more steps to the very small niche coffee outlet that they also run out of their same owner. It's just a complimentary service. Or you can take a left and descend a number of stairs to a different level where they have their main clothing area. From there, moving towards the back of the building, you can descend a number more steps to go down to a different level where the main bicycle display area is. And I don't want to forget, there's another additional level on that main area where the helmets and racks and things like that are displayed. We're looking at essentially 5 different levels of space in the one main area. So all of them with being demised out into separate rooms. So you really can see the combined nature of these historical buildings being tied into one in a less than optimal retail layout. So certainly one wouldn't build a building like this these days, and it does lead to both inefficiencies and non-optimal space for any retailer, really. So some exteriors on my page number 4. We move inside, and you can see the retail area. So the top is where the majority of the clothes are, and the sales desk. The bottom of page 5 is towards the rear of the building, where you can see the main display of where the bicycles are. You can also see the wood trusses of the roof up above. Moving on, you can see second floor mezz space where the office space is. It's 1,100 and some square feet. It's a bit of a rabbit warren. It's in a shoe, or rather a U shape or an L shape around the back end of one of the original buildings where the offices are built in. Most of them are used as storage rather than office space. Then we get down to bicycle repair and loading area on the bottom of page 6. I did get a shot from above on page number 7, and then just another picture of a portion of the main floor retail where the stairs go up to that second floor mezz office area on the bottom of page 7. So very choppy, certainly not an ideal space, and the finishes are as they are in the photos, certainly average at best, probably a bit below average in terms of the finishes for the space. So we're looking at wood frame trusses, concrete flooring in much of the space, as you can see, and the office area has not been renovated or redeveloped in many years. So that is the building we're looking at. There's certainly a storage issue with the subject property as well. They have to make use of nooks and crannies as they can in order to store their product. And again, is not ideal from a retail situation. So the breakout of the leasable area is main floor area of 8,456 square feet, taking into account everything on the main floor. And then we have a second floor mezz of 1,181 square feet. Again, that's storage and essentially a single office. The condition, as I've stated there, would be average to below average in my estimation. Site description is shown on page 9, very limited on-site parking. There's no parking immediately in front of the building on St. Mary's, as parking is restricted on St. Mary's. You can park a bit further south, but not in front of the subject. The rear of the subject has essentially 4 parking stalls for retail tenants, and then they have loading on the other side, as well as their garbage area. And the location is shown on my page number 10. So again, you're essentially on the border of St. Boniface and St. Patel in that particular location. So let's jump forward to the valuation. Many of these, in fact, all of them, I believe, are the same comparables that we just ran through for 227 Henderson Highway. As the assessor has indicated, it is quite challenging to find street front retail comparables of a size of 10,000 or 8,500 square feet, such as these 2 properties that we're dealing with here, where they're true arm's length tenancies. So we have the identical comparables here. I won't run through them again to save us time. I've applied a rental rate of $11.50 a square foot to the subject property, which is the team that I applied to 227 Henderson. 2 reasons for this. 227 Henderson, the main floor is a wide open plan. Essentially, it is more conducive to retail use than the subject property, but the basement space in 227 Henderson has certainly has some contributing factor to that, at which we added a premium to it to bring it up to $13 per square foot, whereas that is not the case for the subject property. So we've used the rental rate of $11.50 a square foot for this property. The expenses are shown on page number 23. And the summarized ARV is shown on page number 24. So using the $11.50 rental rate, we come to a final ARV of $132,300. And the addenda includes that realty decision, and that's largely all you'll need to see, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Matthew, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Richard, questions?
I have none, thank you.
Doug, any questions?
And I have some questions. Thank you.
And I have none. Do you have a rebuttal on this one as well?
I do. That's extremely quick.
Go for it.
Okay, so looking at the second page of rebuttal there, 554 St. Mary's Road. This is an office building that was built in 2015, essentially. Partially owner occupied by Sherwood Developments there, who is either the director or related to the ownership. I don't know if it's a numbered company or what, but they are the developer and occupant of the building with 1 tenant on the 2nd floor. So it is a new office building. They built an additional parking area. It's on the waterfront. While it's in close proximity to the subject, it has no comparability to the subject. Second comp, 942 St. Mary's Road. This is an owner occupied office building again. Further south than the subject, but it is an owner occupied office building, so the lease rate really doesn't apply. And then finally, 317 St. Anne's is an older retail strip mall between Fermor and Fermor and Bishop Grandin on the east side. You can see what it is there. Smaller space, they're getting $13.50 a square foot, on-site parking, etc. That is my rebuttal. Thank you.
Muted Marcel.
Matthew, anything on the rebuttal?
Yeah, I would just say that I guess the difference in the comparables by myself and Mr. Smith is the fact that, as we said, it's hard to find something in the area that's checks all the boxes to be comparable to this property. So I would say, whereas he chose to take the retail and size, regardless of proximity, I chose on the street front, regardless of whether it was occupied by an office or a store or anything else. I was going more for size and proximity to the subject. That's.
Thank you. Am I muted again? No. Richard?
I have nothing, thanks.
Doug?
I have nothing. Thank you.
We have now heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good day, Trevor.
Yes, you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.